No, the attackers were 2 aircraft, but the defenders were always initially 2, then 4. So it carried on like that.
Okay, sir. I got it.
So basically, they were training you to become instructors,
sir,
so that when you go back to your squadrons,
sir,
you are now teaching your people the same tactics.
Okay. Right.
Because not everybody can go to do the course.
Okay. Only that persons with much more expertise in that.
People who are more experienced and things like that. So after doing the FCL course, of course, I came back to Adhampur. At that time, Air Chief Marshal O.P. Mehra was the AOC. He made me the flight safety officer. I said, sir, I've done FCL course and come back, and you're making a flight safety
one more course.
And anyway, not course, but it was running the flight safety of the station.
Okay, sir.
So somehow, anyway, I tried to convince him, but he wouldn't listen. So I became the flight safety officer.
Okay.
So when he said flight safety officer, you can't even fly. I said, one hell of a thing. I said, first of all, I do the FCL course, then you stop my flying also in the squadron.
Sir.
Anyway, fortunately, what happened was my name came for going to the USSR for training on the MiG-23BM.
Okay.
This instruction came sometime in September.
Sir.
October.
Sir.
That is, actually, we were given hardly any time.
Okay.
We reported to air headquarters on 28th of September. And they told us that, okay, you people are going to USSR. And immediately in the month of October, there was Diwali also. So we had to take loans from our Provident Fund to, buy clothes, because after all, we were going in winters.
I think lots of clothing required for that, winter clothing.
We had to buy clothes.
Yes,
we
sir.
had to carry some cash with us.
Yes, sir.
So, and unfortunately, Diwali holidays means then the letter authority comes from Delhi for your Provident Fund. So,
okay.
Anyway, we somehow managed to, do things and reported back to air headquarters. And next we reported on 9th, and on 13th we were airborne for USSR. Now we had no clue about the Russian language.
Oh.
We knew nothing about Russia because it was too short a period of time. I mean, nothing that we knew.
Okay.
And when we landed up in Moscow, we didn't know how to communicate with people.
Okay.
Now, even the sign language in USSR is different. Like, for example, now you say, I want to drink water. And in sign language, how do you show it? You do this.
Okay.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
But they don't do that. They do this.
Acha, okay.
Now, so they couldn't understand our sign languages also.
Mm-hmm.
We were put up in one hotel over there, and we were there for about 2 days. And in those 2 days, we were allowed to move around Moscow and things like that. So we went and saw.
So no one was able to communicate in English, sir, even hotel and all?
No, they don't know English.
Okay.
Nobody knew English at all.
Okay.
So, and even if they knew, they would not communicate.
They would not speak. Yeah, okay.
It was the old USSR, and they were very, very strict about that.
Yes, sir.
They were they could report about you and things like that. And they were the KGB moving around also.
Acha, okay.
So the minute you go there, the KGB is tracking you.
Okay.
So we said, Baba, let's not get into any trouble. We just went and saw a circus or something like basically to sightseeing, as you call it.
Okay. How many officers
we were ready
there,
to move to Logoya.
How many, sir, along with you?
Now they don't have anything like coolies and all that, so you have to take your own luggage.
Acha.
And pull it over there. And our good old embassy sergeant took us to the wrong airport.
Acha.
Wrong terminal.
Okay.
And then we were told, no, you have to go to so-and-so terminal.
So that would have doubled your problems of carrying all those things.
God, each one had two suitcases. So we had to take two suitcases with us.
Okay.
And to that distance it was quite a distance, So people who had, rollers on the suitcase was fine. But people who
those days, I think no rollers. Those days, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, somehow we reached the thing and we got airborne and landed up at the place called Frunze.
Okay.
Now, Frunze is actually in Kyrgyzstan.
Okay.
And we had to go to Kazakhstan.
Again,
I mean, the Frunze was the only international airport that was there, or the airport.
Okay.
So from Frunze, which was also the headquarters for their training command, we had to go by train to Logoya.
Okay.
So they put us onto the train. We got down at Lugubaya and then went to our accommodation. And the training started off over there. Initially, there were number of nationalities over there. There were the Cubans over there. There were the Nigerians there. There were the Iraqis there. There were quite a few of these people over there.
So different nationalities.
Yes, and they had a dormitory system. Like there was one building, and they see, because the Soviets don't believe in differentiating between officers and men.
Okay, sir.
They eat in the same mess. They eat together. Everything was done. Like we also did the same thing.
Okay.
Except that our men were put up in a different billet, and we were put up in a different place.
No, but how many were there in the team, sir? But how many were there in your?
We were two teams. One was a total of 3 squadrons had to be raised.
Okay.
That was 2 BN squadrons and 1 MF squadron.
Sir.
So the 2 BN squadrons were there, including the MF. So we were around 16 plus those 8.
Okay, 24 people.
Yeah, good. Yeah, quite a few people were there. And so we were put up in a separate place, a separate building. And we had already told the Soviets that we are very senior officers. We are not junior officers.
Sir.
Okay. We are all people who are even more senior than your own base commander.
Okay.
So that way, initially they wanted us to do parade with their people and all that. We said, no, we haven't come here to do parade. We come here only for flying. But the other people who were cadets, like, Iraqis and things like that, they were made to do the parade along with the Soviets.
Okay.
And then our training started off the same, like the technical training. Plus, we had to learn Russian RT language.
Okay.
They don't allow you to fly if you don't know the Russian RT language.
Okay, I think that must be the major challenge, learning language.
Yes, we had to learn it. And we had a lady who was teaching us, and she told us, she says, she wouldn't speak in English.
Again problem.
Only in Russian, and she would keep pointing out.
Acha, language of signs.
So this was like a door was called dwar, a window was called okno. So, things like that. So she would point. So we had to learn like that.
Okay.
Then there was a test after everything. So we had to pass the test also. And subsequently, when we went for our flying clothing, we found that the flying clothing being given to us was the old flying clothing.
Oh, not even new.
No, not new. So we told them, sorry, you please issue us the flying clothing which we are going to take back to India with us.
Sir.
Which meant, they have a 2-piece overall.
Okay.
Which is like a trouser come top, bush shirt like thing, jacket like thing.
Yeah, yes, sir.
For summer as well as winter. Then they had the various, helmets and things like that, flying boots. So the Russians, how they behave. That no decision takes place over there.
Acha.
The decision comes from Moscow.
Okay.
So even like in our case, if we wanted to speak to Moscow,
you
go to the telephone exchange and you tell them the person and the number who you want to speak to, and they tell you to come back after 24 hours. That means the next day you go at the same time.
Why is it so, sir?
Because they want to track your conversation.
Achha, what you are going to talk and all.
So they have a very system like that you come after 24, but exactly on time they will give it to you.
Okay.
That means if they told you to come at 5, it will be at 5.
Okay. Good.
So what happened was when our flying got stopped, they didn't take us for flying. They wouldn't give us our clothing. And they said Indians have gone on strike.
Achha, okay.
So we said Indians have not gone on strike. We want our flying clothing. So for about 20-25 days, there was no decision taking place on our commencement of flying. By the time the winters had set in,
okay,
the temperature had gone from minus, from about 2 and 3 and all that, it had gone to minus 10, minus 15. And then our senior person, that is Wing Commander Khatu,
Sir.
who was the senior most of the lot, he was called to Moscow.
Acha.
So he went and met Air Chief. At that time, Air Chief Marshal Khatri had come there.
Okay.
So he met this thing, and Khatri said, yes, they should be given their flying clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So Moscow was told very clearly that please issue the flying clothing which the Indian government has paid for.
Okay.
So after that decision came, then they gave us our flying clothing, and subsequently our flying
commenced
sometime towards the end of December.
Okay.
And their system of flying is also very different. You see, where you as a pilot, you cannot start up the aircraft on your own.
Okay.
Every aircraft is controlled by a crew chief, who is a ground person, a JW.
Okay.
He brings the aircraft, he takes the aircraft, and he is a singleton. He is a singleton.
Uh-huh.
He does all the checks, he fills up the fuel, he fills up the air, he does everything.
He takes all the care. Yes, sir.
All that he has is 2 helpers, which are those conscription people, those who have to work for 2 years, those young boys.
Yeah.
They have to work for minimum 2 years.
Sir.
So those people are there to lift something or do whatever help he's
only
got.
To assist him. Yes, sir. Okay.
That's all. But otherwise, that one gentleman is in charge. And you cannot even touch the aircraft unless he says so.
Okay.
So when you are, you are given an aircraft, you go and meet him. He'll tell you to get into the aircraft. He will come and strap you. After strapping you, he will just strap the instructor. And then on that connected phone, he will give you the startup procedure.
Acha.
You cannot even put the battery on unless he says.
Okay. Total control in his hands.
Yes, total control. And their system is like we have, after startup, we go to short of the runway, we do our pre-takeoff checks. As far as he is concerned, the aircraft is fit for flight.
Okay.
Once he allows you to go, you just go, finished. There are no more checks in between.
Acha, okay.
So anyway, we had this Colonel Major Zakharov, who was our instructor.
Sir.
And quite a very sweet chap. Nothing. And they themselves are very scared because they are under control themselves.
Acha.
What happens is there is a one party man who's a pilot also, but he's reporting on all these people.
Okay, totally everything under control in that case by the party,
including the pilots, everything. You can't move. They also can't move around much. And every interpreter is a party man. So even you cannot talk to the interpreter. He will. The minute you go to the interpreter, he will say, "I will not talk."
Okay.
So
stringent controls around all this. No freedom totally.
No freedom at all,
sir.
And so the flying started off over there. And in my case, I was the only one. Normally what they do is, when you go for your solo check,
sir,
with your flight commander, you then go solo on the trainer first. Then you do one more trainer dual check with him. And then he sends you on the fighter.
Okay.
So you've done your first solo on the trainer, then
sir,
you do your first solo on the fighter.
Okay.
Because the trainer has got a long nose in front, when the BN has got like this downward nose.
Sir.
So there are slight differences in the flying conditions and especially takeoff and landing.
Sir.
I don't know how in my case. I went up for my solo check. I went for my trainer solo, and then they cleared me straight away for my BN solo.
Okay.
I was the only one who was cleared to do both the solos one after the other. Otherwise, all the others had to do another dual check in between.
I think I remember you are saying even during your training also initially that you. So I think within 1 hour 50 minutes or so you become we went on solo.
Yeah, 1 hour 45 minutes I went solo.
Yeah, 40 minutes. That speaks for your the kind of smartness you have in dealing all the things.
I don't know whether it is inborn or whatever it is, but
yes, sir.
But yes, I had no problems going solo on all the aeroplanes.
Sir.
And after that, I did my general training over there.
Sir.
And by that time, it was March, including some armament sorties and all that. And they said, okay, now you can go. But a few people were kept back who had not finished their training.
Okay.
So the bulk of us on 6th of end February, we finished off.
Achha,
so
March.
We came back to Moscow, and while we were at Moscow, the Air India flight got because of some fuel problem, the aircraft got grounded.
Okay.
So we were sitting in Moscow for 10 days very nicely.
Okay, 10 days.
Yes, 10 days we spent over there in Moscow, and then we had a good time going around, seeing various places.
Yeah,
the
good
museum.
opportunity to look around all the places.
Yes, and though they wouldn't let us go, like we wanted to go to St. Petersburg or something, they won't let us go.
Okay.
So within Moscow, you can go wherever you. And after that, we came back and reported to air headquarters, and they told us, okay, go to Halwara. Your squadron is over there.
Sir.
So,
sorry for interruption, sir. Here, that interesting thing that is a communist country where there is no difference between men and officer. So, out of curiosity, then what were their interactions? How were their interactions, sir, between them? Saluting part is there, sir? Saluting?
They are not bothered. They don't even salute the officer there.
Okay.
They don't bother about all this.
But then what is the difference, sir, between officer and man? What is the difference there?
Frankly speaking, one doesn't know, because you're being given as an officer, you've been given certain tasks.
Sir.
But the men there, you are like anybody.
It's a king's like moving.
Yeah. Like, for example, now, let us say when we went to town, there is, you see, religion was curbed. Religion was totally curbed.
Okay, no religion at all.
No, because they were communists.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So you could practice your own religion in your own house.
Okay, not outside.
Now, for example, there were Muslims and there were Christians.
Sir.
Mainly those are the two people that were there. But when the husband could be a Muslim married to a Christian girl, or a Christian man.
So no restrictions.
That way there was nothing, they got married in between. But they were very keen on knowing about their religion. So especially, for example, we had one Muslim officer with us, my postmate. So one day we got a lift in a car going to one of the little shopping areas,
Sir.
In another town which was within Kazakhstan. We couldn't go out anywhere. So they asked and said, anyone is a Muslim?
Sir.
In Russian only.
Acha.
So by that time we knew sprinkling of
a little bit.
A little bit of Russian. So we said, yes, he is a Muslim. So they asked him to recite the Quran.
Acha. Okay.
And they were so happy, they took us to their house and fed us food also.
Oh, that's great.
Okay. But whether they understood anything or not, God alone knows, frankly.
Okay. Okay.
Similarly,
but they were impressed. They were impressed by the recitation and all.
Just that, we are Muslims, that's all.
Okay. Sir, one more thing, sir. Now then, how do, if they don't maintain any differentiation, how do they maintain the discipline, sir, between the men and officers kind of thing?
They are very disciplined because there's a party man there.
Oh, acha, because of him. Okay.
Yeah, nobody can even move because that party man is there.
I see. So
if he reports you, you're in Siberia after that.
My God. Okay.
They are very, very strict. Even the children, parents are very worried about children, because if children report them, the parents will go.
Okay.
A communist country was like that.
And of course, finally, about the same situation, then salaries of men and officers, any differentiation or almost same like?
Well, you see, there used to be barn dances together. Like every Saturday, they would have a barn dance. Men would be there, officers would be there, the ladies would be now. All the men were in Afghanistan at that time.
Oh.
So all the ladies were, used to come for these dances. The husbands were not there.
Okay.
In fact, the squadron commander's wife would also come. And
okay.
They would dance in that circle,
So easily commingling with each other, no, without any restrictions.
They all get into one circle and they keep dancing to music. That's all.
Okay, good.
That is all. There is no differentiation. There is no officer's mess or anything of that.
So ranks, finally ranks are similar to our ranks?
Ranks are there. The ranks are definitely there.
So instead of having squadron leader, I think they call it major, like that. Mayor. Okay.
They call him Mayur.
Rao,
okay.
Rao.
Yes, sir.
One second. Sir, kindly tell them about food also, what we are getting there.
Food is to be...
It's a funny thing, that's why it is worth listening, please.
You see, food, basically the food was to be the same for breakfast, lunch and dinner. There was no difference.
Okay.
When you went there, you got 2 eggs, and what was already there was 1 cheese, some very good dahi there. Curd was very good. And I'll tell you, the food in Lugovaya was much better than what was in Frunze.
Okay.
Frunze, the mess used to stink.
Uh-huh.
Everything was cooked in pork fat, or, animal fat.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think the taste must be different.
Cooking
They used
media
to
was
basically- And they used to give you, tomato which was in brine, horrible tasting.
Oh,
So we had quite a few vegetarians in our group.
sir.
So and one Sardar was there. So they loved Sardar. So that is why he must have had a good time because they gave you milk and all that thing.
Okay.
we had escorted a pannu with us,
Ah,
and he was normally they don't give milk to men. They only give it to pregnant ladies and children.
okay.
But Pannu was given 5 liters of milk
As a special case.
because he was.
He was vegetarian.
But
And Pannu and I were together in 37, so we were together there also. So he used to get the milk, and they used to make kheer, and they used to get atta and make parathas and all that thing.
But how ladies happen to be there, sir, in the mess?
They were only ladies serving us. There were no men.
Achha, sir. Okay, serving people all ladies.
Yeah, they were all ladies only.
Okay.
Everyone behind the counter or wherever you went.
Sir.
You see, you had to buy your milk and vodka and all that, whatever you wanted, from what we used to call a magazine. You had to go to a magazine and buy it. It was not available in the mess.
Okay. Got it, sir.
Mess was mess food only.
Mm-hmm.
So, except like in Logovaya, we used to be lunch used to be one additional was soup. Otherwise, breakfast same, lunch same, dinner same.
Yeah,
And same menu for all the nationals.
Everyone same. There is no difference.
and no spices at all.
Acha.
No spices food.
Frankly speaking, I stopped going out for dinner over there because it was, dinner was served at 6 o'clock. The temperatures were so cold over there, and I lost weight I actually came down in those 6 months from 72 kilos. I came down to 59 kilos.
Oh, good. I think you must have yeah.
Only difference was that every Sunday I used to go for almost a 10-kilometer walk.
Okay.
10 kilometers to the town of Logovaya, 10 kilometers back.
Mm-hmm. That's great, sir. Great.
That was, so in the morning I used to go and come back the morning,
Okay.
then go to the mess, have lunch, and then come back to the room. So even it was loss of weight, but with a lot of exercise involved.
Of course, I think so.
Because there was nothing else over there. There was nothing else over there.
Nothing. It was a total village only. It was a village. Nothing outside.
There was nothing at all over there.
Okay, sir.
And subsequently, anyway, that Logovaya was another very enjoyable story. And
I think Pathak Sahab, you were also in the same place, Logovaya?
Yeah, I was in Logovaya, yes.
Oh, I think that's why you are able to correlate with each other. Okay.
That is why
Yes, sir.
I was interested. What was the condition?
Sir.
I seen Logovaya in 58. He has seen later.
Oh.
Sir,
Village.
I also got training
Only a
at
private.
Logovaya.
So you also went there in Logovaya?
Yes, sir, I went to Logovaya.
Great.
I
I
don't-
got training there itself.
but I don't think Sethi Saab ever bought the milk.
No, we never got. We used to purchase, sir.
Acha, purchase outside. Okay.
There we were staying. Downstairs, they made the restaurant. There everything was available. You have to pay and take. And they used to give us money.
Yeah, that of course. No, here also you go to the magazine and we used to get, Pannu used to go and get milk over there, but he was authorized to get milk.
Otherwise, we were getting eggs, sir. Eggs were readily available. And we had our kettles. So we used to boil and take the eggs as breakfast and butter saddle.
Correct.
Okay. That's great. I think 3 of you were there in the same place. So,
Sir, how much allowance you were getting there that time?
Pathak Sahab, we can't see your face. Only we are seeing the only letters.
Sorry.
If you can switch on your now, yeah. Yes, sir.
After one question, how much are we getting that time? We were getting 2 rupees a day for our pocket expenses.
Okay. So
Can you hear me?
Anyway,
Yeah.
so after coming back to air headquarters,
sir,
we were told to move to Halwara,
sir.
and we reported to Halwara. No, there was no barbers and all that, so people had very long hair. Of course, I was bald, so I didn't have any problem. But the other people who had long hair, we had Air Commodore Lamba over there, who was the AOC. Now, we landed up pretty late, at about 9:30 in the night at Halwara Air Force Station.
Sir.
And there was no accommodation at all.
Okay.
So I being the senior most, I rang up the AOC at his house.
Sir.
So first he bullshitted me. He told me,
Why?
why have you contacted me?
Acha, why did you come to me directly?
I said, sir, we are sitting in the officer's mess. We have no place to go to, no rooms available. We don't know where we are staying. This is why I rang up, and it is now 9:30. We haven't even had dinner. This is why I rang up. So anyway, he told me, he says, okay, don't worry, I'll get the thing done. So the senior people like us were put into the MES inspection bungalow.
Sir.
Others were put into some temporary rooms and all that thing.
Sir.
And next morning, we were told to report to AOC's office.
Okay.
So now I, being the senior most, I said, now what do? I haven't even cut my hair. Whatever little hair I got.
So there's a barber system or not there, sir, in Russia?
There was a lady barber.
It's a lady barber, okay.
There was a lady barber. But people didn't bother to go and listen.
I see, okay.
So, I mean, though we went there once a month or something like that, not on a regular basis like we do in India.
Sir.
So, then he went to the office. He met us. Initially, he tried to look very tough, but he was the most sweetest man I've ever met in my life.
Okay.
He was just trying to be tough, but he could not be tough.
Okay.
Like when one person, he was a flight lieutenant, so he kept telling him, you haven't had a haircut, this, that, and the other. I said, sir, if I pick up his cap, he's got nothing on top. He's also as bald as me. So anyway, so we were told, okay, you do one thing. You can go back to your earlier units.
Sir.
Report back to your previous units, and whenever you're required, you will be called.
Sir.
So I went back to Adampur, reported to 37th Squadron, but almost immediately I was recalled over there because we had to start picking up our aircraft from Ozark.
Okay.
Our aircraft had to be picked up, and there were about 8 people who had converted from the old Sukhoi 7. 221 Squadron was Sukhoi 7 earlier, and they were in Bhatinda. So this unit had got rid of everything. There was nothing there, including whatever Squadron Memento, there was nothing.
Mm-hmm. So
they came over here with 8 people, and they gave us some room over there. And so I was called back. There was a Wing Commander Khatu, and by that time he had gone on a chota leave and he had come back. And there was one squadron of Khanna who had been earlier with 10 Squadron, but since he was qualified on the BN, he was brought over.
Sir.
So these two initially went and got the first trainer aircraft.
Okay.
So I was in charge of Alwara at that time as officiating CO. So organization of the first aircraft coming in, and the ceremony is to be held and little parade and all that thing.
Sir.
So we did all that, and initially with that one trainer, we started off, and then 2 more people were sent from 220 Squadron to bring 2 fighters in. So our training started off immediately.
Sir.
After which I started going to Ozar and on a regular basis and bringing the aircraft in along with some other people.
Sir.
Thereafter, we started bringing our aircraft in, and the training started initially. Within about 6-7 months, the 221 Squadron was split because we had gone, if you remember, to Lugova as 2 squadrons.
Yes, sir.
So the one half was split, and they formed 31 Squadron.
Okay.
So now 31 Squadron was commanded by Wing Commander Garewal, who was POW.
POW, yes, sir, during 71 war. Yes, sir.
So he was the CO of 31, and we were in 221. And we got split like that into 2 different squadrons. And then the training started off.
Sir.
And we were they had a nice hangar and all that thing over there, whereas we were in a place called Bangladesh. The dispersal was called Bangladesh.
Okay.
In blast pens, and we were in 2 separate, not very comfortable things. And our headquarters used to be very close to where the domestic area was. During my tenure in Halwara earlier in 27, that used to be the St. Joe's hangar. But that was given to us, 221 Squadron, to do the headquarters there.
Okay.
So, and Of course, the CNJO's complex and RNSS and all were in this other place that was there, which had a big dispersal and all that.
Sir.
Finally, we convinced the AOC that we should be allowed to operate from this big dispersal because it is difficult to operate from dispersed conditions.
Okay.
Because you have to have APA for everything to start up the aircraft. You had to set up the inertial platform, which took 15 minutes to set up the inertial platform itself.
Yeah.
So all that had to be done. So anyway, training started off. We started off quite well. Then around we started doing detachments and a lot of night flying detachments and all that. And one day there was Air Marshal Wallen was the CNC.
Sir.
He wanted us to do some night flying in Jodhpur to identify targets on the Pokhran range. Now this was to be done at night under a flare. So 2 aircraft were to drop flares at a height, and then when the area is lit up, you do your attack from underneath.
Okay.
So we did those exercises, and then later on when the CNC asked, he asked me specifically, he says, could you have hit the targets?
Sir.
I said, sir, by the time we picked up the target, it was too late to engage it, because unless you have a weapon which is like what we used to call a cluster bomb.
Cluster bomb, yes, sir.
We called a cluster bomb. Now, this cluster bomb, what happens? It's a big bomb which has small bomblets like grenades.
Sir.
And after it impacts, after it is released from the aircraft, these bomblets fly out. About 147 the 147 were the British one, 150 were the Russian ones.
Sir.
And they fly out and they blanket, an area of about 50 meters of width and 80 meters of length.
Okay.
So anyone within that area would have got killed or destroyed or whatever it is.
Yes, sir.
So initially he started shouting, he said, where are these retarded bombs and all that thing?
Okay.
So we said, so we don't know, because we are just telling you that unless you have these weapons, it is very difficult to hit at night. Then we went on a detachment to Nal, Bikaner.
Sir.
And my CO and I, we were a little curious about the bomb dump, what all weapons they have. And when we went there, we found that there were a hell of a lot of Russian clusters over there.
Okay.
So we told the CNC that, sir, these things are available. So that was the time then I was authorized to do the trials on these Russian clusters.
Okay.
In the meantime, we got information that you are to deploy operationally at Pathankot. So the squadron moved to Pathankot because it happened to be 4th of April when we took over Siachen Glacier.
Okay.
4th of April, the Battle of Siachen Glacier started off.
Operation Maghdut, sir. Operation Maghdut?
Operation Maghdut.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So 4th of April, the army had moved in and we captured the entire glacier. And we as a squadron were moved to Pathankot. At the same time, 27 Squadron, which was on Hunters, they were moved to Leh. He was the Wing Commander Dange,
Sir.
CEO of 27. 27 Squadron with Hunters moved to Leh to check and balance the Pakistani side over there. And in case effort is required, then to do it. Now, when we moved to Pathankot after that, certainly on the 16th of May, by that time my CEO had gone on leave. For 2 months leave.
Okay.
And I was handling the show over there. And on 16th of May, I was told that you please report to Halwara. Take an aircraft and go to Halwara.
Okay.
So 2 aircraft, we went 2 aircraft to Halwara. There was a team of our BRD people there.
Okay.
They started fitting in some kind of a jet into our starter motors. So it was 1 mm jet they put over there. I did the startup trials, everything and all that. And they said, okay, now you go back to Pathankot. So I came back to Pathankot. And suddenly later on, I was told, now move to Avantipur.
Okay.
Sir, Jet 55 trial was done by our our specialist only, engine specialist. And we were doing a turbo starter. Because engine was not starting. It was not starting. Then we moved with the squadron, about a few RNS fellows, and we did the trials at Avantipur, and then there itself we changed the jets and we started modifying them. Yes, sir. I was very much there, sir. I had the privilege for my with you also, sir.
So that's great. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Anyway, so after that, I moved to Avantipur and there was Sethi Saab and all that, and the action started off of, instead of a 1 mm jet, to put a 0.6 mm jet, because you have gone to a higher height. And again, the turbo starter was again started up over there.
Yes, sir.
And we found that we had no problems as such starting up the aircraft over there.
Yeah. Then, all the things were done on very quickly and wonderfully. It was done without any damage.
Yeah. Then what happened was on 22nd, on 20th of May